Hello, and welcome to What's Next Wall Street. I am George Alfredas.
And I am the Dave Mathews. Now, this is a show about stocks, crypto, and the new decentralized financial Web3 world around us.
So listen, I've got details on all the hot new trending products that everybody's not only talking about, but using and investing in. And today, I'm talking about how you can turn a hobby into $1 million investment.
Don't I do that with my Porsches? Well, I'm going to talk to you about how investment bankers aren't recommending crypto for their clients due to potential U.S. government regulation and taxation pending issues.
What? Listen, we've got Greg Krause. He's the lead instructor at OptionsPlayers.com. As our expert, Greg charts a lot of these companies, and those chart indicators can show you exactly where a particular stock is headed so that it's easier for you to target investment potential. So Greg combines technical analysis with fundamental knowledge.
Right, and he's in the studio shaking with us tonight. Now, our goal is to help you become a more informed trader with a tailored trade plan so that you can stay up to speed with what's next on Wall Street and keep stacking those gains.
That's right. You can email us at OptionsPlayers.com or hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street with your questions. We can also direct you to instructors and experts over at OptionsPlayers.com who dig into those trading fundamentals.
Yeehaw. Hey, you can watch this episode on the Options Players YouTube channel or listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So listen though, whether you're listening, literally listen. Whether you're listening to the podcast or watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button so that you always know what's next on Wall Street. And listen, 5 stars. Don't be stingy with your little stars, okay? 5.
New research is showing investment executives think it's a bad move for clients to own cryptocurrency. Mind blown. A Netexas investment managers survey found 68% of fund selectors don't think crypto should be a part of clients' portfolios, citing lack of transparency and regulatory issues. Along with that figure, the poll also showed that 40% of those who participated say the number of clients asking to get a hand on crypto is increasing.
Sure.
The survey reportedly talked to 141 U.S. investment executives. Now, I wonder how much of this is due to the fact that the U.S. government is stating these are not financial assets like investors are used to owning with stocks, but these are tangible assets which have a different potential for taxation. Now, I'd hate to be a retail stockbroker on Monday after the Super Bowl fielding calls from clients, I want crypto.
I know, all those commercials. Maybe though, Dave, those investment managers want their clients investing in electric vehicles instead. So the Biden administration is set to invest $5 billion to help create electric vehicle charging stations across the nation. Biden's infrastructure bill includes an EV program that's going to give funding to states that qualify over a 5-year period. Creating a more electrified highway is the latest attempt to ease the U.S.'s dependence on oil as gas prices continue to surge and climate concerns worsen. I think this is going to make consumers think seriously about owning an electric vehicle. Nobody is trying to get caught out in the middle of nowhere where the hills, are watching. That's what I'm always terrified of. Like, we were in the middle of a country town in Texas. I was like, oh my gosh, what if we can't get electric?
Well, not only that, Georgia, but what I found is the charging stations from startups, even Volkswagen's Electrify America, is that they typically don't work.
What?
I see more out of service screens on those units than actually working units. But back to Tesla, their operations team really does keep their chargers online. Think about it. Can you imagine going to 4 gas stations in your ICE combustion engine car and having most of them out of order?
Oh, I'd be way out of gas.
Talk about range anxiety. On another note, the company just held under $2 billion worth of Bitcoin at the end of last year. That's Tesla. That's according to a filing with the SEC. Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of cryptocurrency last year. Now, the crypto holding only affects the company's earnings when it buys or sells it. Tesla temporarily accepted the currency as a payment before stopping it in May due to environmental concerns of the burn. And speaking of electric vehicles, let's go back to the future. DeLorean plans to build its new headquarters at Port San Antonio as long as incentives packages are approved.
Ooh,
DeLorean's return was teased during the 2022 Super Bowl. The pictures here are just amazing. Look at this thing.
Wow, you got to watch this on YouTube. This is
awesome.
Gorgeous. Wow, that thing's pretty. Meanwhile, everybody in the world knows that EV is the way of the future, yet the Postmaster General is defending the Postal Service's plan to replace its fleet with gas-powered trucks instead of electric ones. For its part, the USPS says it's committed to having an electric fleet. However, they need to strike a balance due to their dire financial condition. Now, the White House and the EPA criticized the USPS, saying their plan does not align with the country's environmental goals or probably anybody's in this century. Okay.
That's the ugliest ass sneaker looking truck I've ever
I
seen.
know.
It's even worse than the last one. Today's pro tip is brought to you by OptionsPlayers.com. Now, goals are a major part of trading. Sounds elementary, my dear, but many traders start their day without a goal or a plan. Now, this can be disastrous. Make sure you have a specific goal in mind while executing every trade. This will help you stay focused and not risk major loss. If you have incremental goals that lead to a major milestone, you will treat every trade with the level of importance necessary for longevity. Don't be like 95% of the traders that treat trading like a casino. Make this your business and make your overall goal much more tangible. We hope this helps you become the 5% that stack gains like it's their job.
Bingo. Get it? This is the part of the show where we get to hear from you. You can always hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. Comment on our YouTube page. We always read and reply. Or, of course, you can email us at www.optionsplayers.com.
New member from Options Players, Adam G. Is he a gangsta? Probably. Asks, what Greeks are, he's a Greek, most important when trading options? First of all, we like to suggest you take advantage of the free introduction to options courses that's provided on the optionsplayers.com site. But Greg, you're lead instructor there. Should he be watching your video or watching you right now?
You could do both, I guess. Pretty easy. If you can't figure that out, you probably shouldn't be trading options.
Listen.
But which Greeks? Okay, so Greeks and options, we're talking about delta, gamma. Delta would be if the underlining of the price moved $1, what would the price of the option do? So, for instance, if Apple goes up $1, the options price goes up 10 cents. For
And
example,
this is when you pull up a chart, you can see the
when you pull
have
up
the crosshairs on this.
Well,
right?
it's not when you look at the chart. You have to pull up like the options table. So it'll have the options price, and then you can, most of them will have the delta, gamma, or you can go into your broker and adjust it. Now, do I think that's important? In a way, yes. And it also depends on how you're actually trying to trade. I don't think those Greeks are as important as most people like to say, because is it that important? Well, if I want a different Greek, I'll just buy a different strike. And I think people go out of it. I hope you can understand how to read deltas and make an assumption. But I think volatility is the most important thing you need to understand. All right. So volatility is a part of a Greek. It's Vega. I know that's not in the Greek alphabet. I wasn't a fraternity. I know Vega is not a Greek alphabet, but it is a Greek in options. And that is the sensitivity a options price has to the change in volatility. All right. And the volatility is based upon the options price. All right. So I know it's kind of a weird thing that is on that video I told you to go watch. Okay. It explained all those Greeks. I believe it's like the third thing. I made it a few years ago when I was just messing around. So go and check out the Greeks. I think it's the third part and you'll see that. But volatility, the more important thing is when you get really serious about trading options and you're in spreads or you're just doing it normally, you're trying to find the way to be the house, to have that edge on the market. You can't get an edge by buying stock. It's impossible, right? It goes up, it goes down, whatever. But in options, I can make money if the price stays the same, goes up, maybe even goes against me a little bit, right? So there's ways to have an advantage. So those are the things you're looking for. And are you going to make it super rich doing that, taking that advantage? No, but you're looking for that 1% advantage, right? So
and you're also leveraging too, because with stocks, if I only have $3,000, I can only buy one share of Amazon and pray.
Yeah, I mean, you're leveraging on your holdings, not so much what your gains are going to be in the options for. And what I mean by this is, for example, volatility is very important for you. Anybody that's ever played options and you held through an ER and you're like, yeah, it went up. Yeah, I made money. And the next day you got on.
Earnings report.
Yep, and volatility dropped. And then now, although it went in the direction you want, it didn't go far enough, okay? So with volatility, I look at it in what we call IV rank, or some will say IV percentile. There is a difference. I'm not going to get into the math class, but the difference there is kind of like mean and average, right? So, or the mean mode and all that. So there's a bunch of them. I use IV rank, but you can use whatever you want. So if IV rank is all the way down by the 20 percentile, that means 80% of it, it's normally above that. So if I say that the reversion of the mean, that the average volatility will go up, that gives me an advantage to buy an option. Because now if I buy the option and it doesn't change, nothing changes, but the volatility goes back up, the price of the stock will go up because of Vega. I know this is craziness. But now if it's at 80% IV rank, I'm not trying to buy options. I'm trying to sell the options. I'm trying to get credit so I can use a credit spread. That way, if nothing else changes and the volatility or the IV rank goes back to 50%, I make money. And what we have is we have theta. That's a Greek that is time, right? Options have time. So as time goes by, theta is that little nasty word that takes away a little bit of your price every day. So if you're running into an ER and saying you plan on buying it 40 days before the ER and selling it actually before the ER happens, you can maybe use that IV rank little trick I showed you to actually get rid of the theta losses, the time loss, because you expect, hey, it's really low right now. So if I purchase it here, I expect the volatility to go up going into ER. And if the price is the same, I have an advantage.
Got it.
So if the stock moves up and down 50-50 and you have an advantage, it's like blackjack, the house is always going to win. Same way, there's no counting cards here. And there's a lot of people out there that don't understand this, but if you want to know what the professionals are doing and they're not out there swinging options left and right, they are gamma scalping and they are basically looking at the volatility and saying it's worth right now. It's overpriced. So when there's a high IV rank, options are higher priced. I'm selling it, right? They're going to sell to open. And then when option prices are lower, that means the volatility is low, they're going to purchase. So it's common sense, but people go out there and they buy options when it's like the highest IV ever, and then they hold it through an ER, and the next day the price goes up in their direction, but the options lost money. And then they complain to me, and I'm like, well, you didn't listen to anything we ever showed you.
Can be your enemy.
Yeah.
I know it's a hard question to really understand without like showing it on a whiteboard or showing it on that. So
Common
jump
sense,
over to
but not
OptionPlayers.com, go find Discovering Options with Greg or whatever, and go to Greeks. I forgot exactly which one it is. I made it a while ago. And it'll give you it'll show you how it's priced in. It'll give you little tests and things like that you can do so you'll actually understand what's actually happening.
Now, Georgia, going to Greeks does not mean going to a party at the university. So
okay, good, because I'm way too old for that. So this next question comes to us from Eric H. of Williamsburg, Virginia. Eric writes, I am stacking gains and faced with what to actually do with those gains. That's a good problem to have. So what are some ideas as far as diversifications if I want to go high risk? Okay, Eric, number one, stick around for my consumer trend segment because I've got some really cool, conventional investment ideas for you. Meanwhile, Greg's probably got some really good info on ways to diversify your portfolio as well. What you got, Greg?
Well, he said high risk, right? So it's not probably likely not going to be too diversified there. High risk. First off, we're like, why do you want to go high risk? That's just, kind of weird to say I'm stacking gains. Well, if you're stacking gains, why do you want to change it? It's working. Continue doing what you're doing, right?
Good advice.
That's one thing a lot of people fail at. I see new traders and they trade 4 or 5 things. Maybe that's just indexes and things like that, like SPY or whatnot. And
is that because they're easier, the variables that we talked about earlier?
Yeah, they're not as volatile either, right? But they're trading those and they learn the ins and outs of them,
and
right?
It's easier to manage.
It's like talking to your wife. You know when she's going to get mad when you say something, but now you just go pick up a random, and it's crazy. And that's what they do. They go out there and they start trading things like Tesla or Facebook, and and it
The
doesn't
most
work.
volatile of them
Yeah,
all.
or cryptocurrency. They're like, oh, I'm really good at this. Let me go trade cryptocurrency. Yeah, it's not as stable, right? And they don't move. So you have to understand that. So diversifying through sectors and things is one thing. Education is always a good way to spend your money, either through, if you have a degree, and you got a job, most likely, pick an online college, go get a master's in finance or a master's or an MBA. It can't hurt you. I'm not going to promote any schools.
Wait, hold on.
But let me ask you. Yeah, I was
You're
going
going
to
to put
say.
somebody in school. They don't need to go to school.
But-
Yeah, they
just-
do.
But what I was going to
I'm
say
just
is when
saying
we
you
were
could do
younger,
that.
like I had to go to, I had to we got a degree in it. But now, you can go to YouTube. Why wouldn't you just learn it online? You can go to
Khan Academy.
OptionsPlayers.com.
Don't they have a MBA for 4-year-olds at Khan Academy?
Yeah, probably not. Okay, I mean it's the same way. I teach college throughout, and I've taught at the master's level too. And I don't know how those people got in there, but or some. I would say most of them were legit. But then you're like, where'd you get your degree at? Was this Cracker Jack box? But yeah, I mean it's something you could do, and it helps you throughout your career. Let's just say you work at Walmart. Let's just say that, right? Largest retailer we have, box retailer at least. And you're a cashier, right? Well, Walmart will probably help you go to school. There's good colleges out there. I don't want to promote one of them because they're not paying us to, but you can find one for around $10,000, get your MBA. Depends on how fast you get
But
it.
I'm just going to take a class and.
But you were making how much? And now you just spent $10,000. You were making, let's just say you're making $30,000 as a cashier at Walmart, and now you got an MBA. Who's getting that assistant manager's job?
Yeah, you
Right,
just
so
pissed
now
off
you
a
just-
lot of people on the
doesn't
East and
matter.
West Coast,
I
though,
know.
because the 10K MBA is not happening.
Yes, it's online.
Except for the Midwest.
It's online.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's accredited. I know them. I've talked
There's
to
some
them.
good there's some good inexpensive schools,
Yeah.
but I just feel like now, like when I was young, my parents, you gotta get your degree, which okay, mom, I got it. Now what?
Yeah,
But
what was your degree in?
Yeah, I
Georgia?
mean-
broadcast news. So yeah, thanks,
It
mom. I
actually
guess
works because you're a broadcast news person and you play them in the movies as well.
Always.
So you've actually
Yeah.
you're one of the few people that has done
actually
something with
uses
their
their degree for, but most people don't use
in
the
both
degree.
fiction and nonfiction.
I know, right? But most people don't use the degree that they get. So that's why I'm not
But
saying
you-
don't get a degree. Of course, I'm telling my kids,
I
you
mean,
gotta
you're
go to
in
school.
that job. If you
But-
want to stay in that job, they're going to more likely hire from within than hire from outside.
Sure. I mean, if you, got
have the
Walmart that's going
experience
to
in
pay
there.
for it, if
I'm
your
just
company's
saying
gonna pay for
Walmart.
it.
You could work anywhere. Say you work at a bank as a teller and you want to go be the loan manager, guess what you're going to need? You're going to need some type of degree.
Finance degree. Yep.
Right? So it is what it is. And I'm not saying you go out and just go spend $100,000. I am not saying that. I'm saying look at good online schools because when jobs hire nowadays, you're not going to Harvard, okay? You're not going to, UPenn or anything like that. You might be going to Louisiana State University, Shreveport, okay? And go to their MBA program, costs you, I don't know how much it costs, probably like 10 grand. Get it in 2 years, and then what does that do for you? So that's one way you could do with some of that money, and you actually learn a little bit, but then maybe increase grade on your gains. What are other ways to diversify it? Outside of that, you have non-conventional ones, real estate, things like that. I cannot give you that information because real estate changes based upon
And that's a long
location,
hold, too.
right?
long.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not going to be flipping real estate.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole full-time job, right? And then what would you do in the stock market high risk? Well, future options would be pretty high risk. Cryptocurrency is extremely high risk. And if you just want to just blow all your money, okay, if you just want to lose it all, go trade crypto leveraged, all right? All right, so just go leverage all your money on crypto, wait 3 days, it's all gone, all right?
right.
That's about highest risk. You're either going to make millions or you're going to be broke, and 99.9% of the time, you're broke.
Right. Okay.
Because-
All right. Well, there's your answer. There-
My buddies that HODL, which means long-term hold, they HODL is a meme. When it got up to 60, I'm like, sell. You guys, like, it's going to do this cycle again. It's
Yeah,
going to be
and
down
it's-
for a while.
that cycle-
Sell half of it at least.
And a lot of people don't understand. I mean, we talked about criminals using cryptocurrency in the past. They still own a lot of it and they can get rid of it, right? So we know that's there. I've had jobs that had to track that before. But in terms of cryptocurrency in that cyclical rotation, a lot of that, if almost all of it, is dealt with leverage. Okay, so individuals nowadays can, you get an app and you put $1,000 and you can get 10 times your money on it, because guess what? It's not regulated. Like a stock, I can only hold, 2% or, 4 during the day, whatever it is, your margin rate. Well, in crypto, they'll let you hold your margin at 10. So you put $1,000, but once that thing loses, if it loses 10%, you just lost all your money. You know what I'm saying? So it's leveraged. But now if it goes up, of course, you're leveraged on it. And you got to think, the bank's loaning you this money, so of course they're charging you some form of interest on this. So they're making money.
Yeah.
You probably are not. So you have to be smart with that leverage. It's basically options in a sense of the same way. It can go against you really fast.
This really sounds a lot like a place that I have visited. Oh, what's it called? I go there once a year for CES. It's a town.
Vegas.
Oh, Vegas. That's what it is.
Listen, if you've got a question, we can answer it, or we'll find someone else who can, like Greg. So hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street in the comments section on our YouTube page, or email us at www.optionsplayers.com with your questions.
Hey, it's time to dig into a new platform for NFTs. And we've got the team from Sombra, who has an NFT marketplace, who are working on a platform for the creation of them as well. Brendan ONeil is joining us here over the internets. Brendan, what's going on over there with Sombra? Tell us your story and the teams there.
Hey guys, nice to have the pleasure of meeting you and chatting with you guys tonight. Sombra is really a great community project where we're bringing visual effects to the forefront, I think, of the NFT and blockchain space, where we're connecting great visual effects talent and artists with communities that need top level IP and creation of top level work, whether it's single NFTs or collections or total game utility based situations. We're sort of helping facilitate that type of an environment. Obviously, we have our own select IP that we're working on, it's sort of as a litmus test, I think, for that whole kind of a DAO process. But effectively, yeah, we're trying to bring what we do for a living and what we're good at, which is visual effects, to blockchain, and make sure that the content and the quality is high.
So I was looking at your app online, and I saw that you're working with some cool companies like the NFL. I saw a really cool Patriots card, and I saw like Nicki Minaj and Beyonce and BMW. How does that fit into, how do these companies and these artists fit into Sombra, like with what you're doing?
Yeah, cool. Good question. I mean, so, Bonfire Visual Effects is the, VFX company that my wife and I started in 2016. We've grown a lot over then to, around a, 4 or 5 million billing company with multiple employees. We have a few offices, and the idea, I think, was to sort of merge a lot of those brands and clients that we have on the Bonfire side, which, a lot of them are, people like Spotify, where that Nicki Minaj thing came from, Beyonce, and, their Ivy Park, clothing catalog and things like that. Those clients, are oftentimes now having conversations with us about metaverse and about NFTs and about how they can get involved. And, there's also, obviously NFL specifically just did a bunch of NFL and Ticketmaster NFTs that Bonfire was, concepted or chosen rather for to concept as well as execute on. And, obviously Sombra did, a lot of sort of consulting on that, and, was sort of, part of that process, because we were able to really help sort of guide the vision and like the timings and the cadence and a lot of things that we knew that communities and people that were going to be looking for these things were going to want. So I think, it's just the beginning of the process, but obviously those two worlds are so closely connected, and merging them is something that we're excited about.
Yeah, that's what we like to track on those kind of trends on this show. Now, I heard you talk about visual effects. You've got some people on your team that were in the movie VFX industry.
Yeah, sure. I mean, personally, like, I'm a visual effects artist myself. I've been doing it for over a decade, and one of our devs has lots of IMDb credits to his glory list, I suppose. My visual effects company per se does more commercial broadcast work. We've done some Super Bowl commercials. We just did the Super Bowl NFT, for example, with Ticketmaster. But Demian, if you end up having to look him up, and, a handful of other NFT artists on our platform, they've worked on lots of feature films, of, television shows and all sorts of accolades like that. Demian specifically, is the mastermind behind a lot of the motion capture and sort of CG creation mechanisms for the Matrix films and the Matrix visual effects, especially Matrix 2 and 3. You can even see his name on the wall in one of these shots,
Wow.
which they gave him as a piece, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think that that's the quality and the level of visual effects that, we work on, and the people that we, collaborate with. And I think that that's sort of what I mean when I say we want to bring that to blockchain. It's not like, just another Fiverr type situation or just a single artist even. It's, people that are working on top level content across multiple companies and, different, skill sets. And I think that, we have had a lot of interest from different people and artists as well that want to get involved in NFTs that maybe don't know how. And it's been helpful for them to sort of have a trust factor with us in the regard of, being either a collaborator previously on a project, or, we've hired them before. And so, they can come to us and sort of have a direct level of communication with somebody that's willing to sort of walk them through it.
I love that. And you're saying that, there are people, artists that want to get into it, but they really don't know how. I love that you've got you've got something that's like NFT and crypto education, because it's so fluid. Like every day I'm like, wait, this is new. I don't know what I'm doing. So I need a refresher course on a daily basis. But talk to me about the NFT buyback program. What's that about?
Well, part of the community-based structure is, the community is obviously driving a lot of marketing incentives. They're pushing the project out to the world. They're talking about it. They're telling their friends, their family, when appropriate, that, they're trying to create, awareness and helping you build something. And the idea obviously is that as a DAO, as a community, that, there's sort of a cyclical effect, otherwise you're sort of just, doing top level in and out. And I think for us, we wanted to be able to create an ecosystem where, people were able to be rewarded, not just through the traditional mechanisms of tokens and things like that, but also through the actual creation and curation of art and the selling of that. And, it's an incentivization for the community to help the artists and the artists to help the community. And I think that it's sort of, a full circle type approach where we're able to build things, that you couldn't really build before, and bring people together to collaborate on things that maybe wouldn't have collaborated previously. And I think it's an interesting approach where, people that, maybe had never thought they would be involved in, top level IP content, such as creating a game or a movie or something along those lines, are able now to have some sort of a hand in that. Whereas, an artist maybe never thought that he would get paid, to do those things the way he's getting paid, and yet now he is. So there's a lot of things beyond that, but I think at its core, there's, just a lot of opportunity on both sides.
That's cool. So we just wrapped the Super Bowl. We talked about all the crypto companies that were advertising on last week's show. Now you had a NFT drop. Was that for people that were in the audience, or kind of unwind what that meant for getting your Super Bowl NFT?
Well, just to be clear, like, we don't actually have the facilitation or the minting part of that NFT. And, like with Bonfire creating those concepts, we were more the artistic visual effects vendor, in terms of visualizing how they were created, how they were, paced. And, we did all the visual effects work, and, our team, did the season as well as the playoffs and, obviously the Super Bowl. So I think that, the way that whole thing went down and worked, I think with Ticketmaster and NFL, at least on their side, was that the participants that bought tickets to the Super Bowl were given these tickets. And I think that there were some opportunities where people maybe could go and purchase them as collectibles, through the Ticketmaster portal specifically, which is like its own D-app thing. NFL has multiple partnerships with different companies and clients, like Dapper Labs and other people. And so, they have kind of different things, and such as the NFL, I think with Ticketmaster, it's their own sort of singular portal with Ticketmaster where you go and, buy those NFTs or trade them.
Okay, do me a favor. Play this little game with me. Finish this sentence. Sombra offers a place that allows people to
connect with top level artists and create through a community top level IP and bespoke metaverse content and decentralized stories for the future.
I love that.
we
I love
go.
the community that you're building. I love I love it. I'm so excited. So if people want to know more information, what do they need to do?
They just need to go to the website, sombra.app. They can jump into the Telegram, the Discord, get to know the team, get to know the community, get to know the project. Obviously, we'd rather have people kind of come and talk to us before they jump in any capacity. Obviously, we would love people to participate with the NFTs and with the ecosystem and, things along those lines. So we can always help and give more information in the group, but we'd love people to come and get to know the project a little bit before they, participate in any way that requires, crypto or anything like that. So always jumping into those chats, like I said, Discord and Telegram are the preferred ways to sort of get to know the community, or even on LinkedIn. We really love meeting people on LinkedIn as well.
All right, I love
Awesome.
that. So Brendan ONeil, thank you very much. I see a kitty cat walk around in your background there too. So Crypto Kitties IRL.
Yes, for sure.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was
Bye-bye.
great to see you. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one.
Yeah.
So when we talk about diversifying our portfolio, like earlier, we're not always talking about stocks. So how about investing in your hobbies? Earlier, we talked about investing in sin stocks like alcohol. Somebody talked about Sin City, not saying that alcohol is a hobby unless you're asking about our teleprompter guy. But the actual bottle of alcohol itself can be an investment. Take, for instance, the sherry seasoned cask of Macallan Peter Blake from 1926 that was sitting in a distillery untouched for 6 decades until 1986 when it was divided into 40 bottles. One of those bottles sold for $1.9 million. But I think the most expensive ever sold was the Emerald Isle collection from Craft Irish Whiskey Company. One bottle sold last year for about $2 million. That bottle is 30 years. It's only 30 years old. What's your drink of choice?
Well, I try to pay under $400 for special occasion liquor or wine, but I once put 100 large into a winery investment and it paid back 3x. But that was over many years. So when I first made the investment, I thought I had a single 100K bottle of wine.
Wow, crazy. Okay, so that's actually incredible. So let me find out you're in here investing hundreds of thousands of dollars and you're rich and fancy and
Oh,
not
no,
telling me.
but the first time it was 25K, then another
got you,
25,
okay.
and then like, all right, they didn't blow all my money, so I put in another 50 for a total of 100 over a period of years.
Wow. Okay, so well, here's the deal. What's important is that this stuff is basically left unopened and almost forgotten about, like the unopened copy of Super Mario Brothers that was left unopened for 35 years and sold for $660,000. How about this? Recently, the original sealed John Madden football video game sold for $480,000. It set the world record for the most ever money spent for a sports video game. Pokemon trading has gone even more local than when my kids play with them. Oh, how I wish we kept just one unopened package.
Like Greg, he's got
Greg,
stacks of
if
them.
you break into Greg's house, not that I'm saying we should do this, we could all just get rich, but he's got cameras and all kinds
And
of
a lot
stuff
of
and guns. So yeah, we're not going to do that. But a first edition, is it Charizard? What's it called? Charizard?
That looks like, let me see, that's a shadowless Charizard.
Okay,
Yeah, first
Charizard.
edition. Yeah,
Well, it sold for $360,000 according to Forbes. Even some that aren't as unique are selling for between $400,000 and $2,000. Y'all know I'm making it my personal duty, right, to continue to collect as many Chanel and Hermes bags and designer sneakers as I can for investment purposes only, of course. Don't be all judgy,
judgy.
Dave. Don't be all judgy because some Kanye West Louis Vuitton kicks sold for over $22,000. But that's nothing compared to Kanye's Nike Air Yeezys that sold for $1.8 million last year, and he wore them. Those shoes were a prototype, and they were never actually released. So when Kanye wore them to the Grammys, people lost their minds. Okay, but the thing I love to collect, like for real, is books. Give me a first edition of anything and I am a friend for life. I know that people want them in really good condition. However, I could care less. A worn book cover is just a thing of beauty to me. I actually hide them for my kids. Look at this. This is my house. I hide them. This is, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shelves up. I hide them so that my kids, I don't want to send them away for touching them. I'm talking about my kids, not the books. Meanwhile, I need to be saving their books because a first edition Harry Potter book sold at auction for $75,000. How about this? There were only 500 made because there was an error. There was an error on the Hogwarts school supplies list for wizards. Wand was mentioned twice. So last but not least, see that's one and one. Okay. Last but not least, Valentine's Day just passed and a lot of lucky lovers got diamonds. I did not. But we'll move on. So of course, well, this is a whole. Anyway, of course, diamonds are a big investment of passion, but the colored diamonds get the best return. Isn't that surprising? So if you're trying to, invest in diamonds, think about maybe investing in a yellow or a pink diamond. I'm talking to you, teleprompter guy. So
what is it? The 3 C's: color, quality,
and
cut?
carat.
Oh, carat. Oh, so when I get the color of yellow,
cut.
the lowest quality yellow, that's good,
No,
right?
no. That's a dirty white one.
Oh, okay. I got
That's
it.
not what you want.
All right. We want to thank Georgia for our diamond education here and lead instructor at Options Players, Greg Krause, for being here in the house with us today.
Yes, remember, if you've got questions, we will answer them times 10, and we'll go down a rabbit hole that you never thought even existed. So listen, we would love to hear from you. Comment. Somebody said we play too much.
Put it in the little beep-bop boops down below.
Yeah, somebody said we just are Josh and having way too much fun, but that is what this is. It's
You should.
fun.
I want to be at a party with you, Georgia.
Yeah, we're not talking heads.
You can, of course, watch episodes of What's Next Wall Street on the Options Players YouTube page to see our beautiful places, or listen, if you just like the way we sound, on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. And hey, can you tell a friend about our show and share some of this love?
Yes.
I am Dave Mathews.
And I am George Alfredas. We will see you next time on What's Next Wall Street.